Good afternoon, Guelph. My name is Mark Peralivas, and that rhymes with for all of us. And I'm the candidate for the People's Party for the Guelph riding. I hope you vote for me. Today, I'm going to show you and talk to you about housing, affordable housing, the price of rent in Guelph and around Canada, and what Lloyd Longfield is saying that he's doing for seniors specifically around housing. And I'm going to show you that it's not working. It's not working in Guelph, and it's not working Canada-wide. So here we go. This is from Lloyd Longfield's website, and you can check the link. It's in the description. We're going to look at page 5. It says, addressing the affordable housing crisis for seniors. So I started looking into this, intending to keep it focused strictly on just seniors. We look mostly at seniors, but I have to tell you, my brother is looking for an apartment, and there's some places in Guelph and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, but rent has gone up exponentially, even in the last couple of years, by a lot. And we're going to look at that too. So, and that's a problem. It's a problem of inventory. How many rental units are available? The fewer rental units available, the higher the landlord can charge for rent, right? And that's not Doug Ford's fault. That's a market problem. If we don't have enough units, enough available units, then the rent necessarily goes up. So either these units are being purchased and left empty, or they're being purchased or rented and filled with multiple families, or they're just being rented and lived in with one family, right? Like there are people who have multiple families. I have multiple families in my house. So multiple families being, my in-laws, right? That's 2 generations in one house. So that's what I mean. But it's something that happens. So housing for seniors is something that's concerning for people, but housing generally is concerning for people. And the way it's being looked at as an investment and a commodity is also concerning, because what's happening is people are being traded like a commodity, and like a commodity, what happens to those people doesn't matter so much as the zeros after the 1 on the check, right? So here we go. Addressing the affordable housing crisis for seniors. One of the major challenges facing seniors in our community is access to suitable housing. Seniors need a home that is safe, affordable, and accessible. But with rising rents and other high costs of living, this is increasingly becoming a major concern. As the Canadian population ages, the need for affordable housing will also increase. Our government's $40 billion National Housing Strategy, NHS, the first ever of its kind in Canada, will have a positive impact across the housing continuum. Housing continuum. I've never heard this term before. It used to be a housing market. I don't know what a housing continuum is. Back to the statement article. It will also prioritize the most valuable Canadians, including seniors. Are seniors not some of the most valuable Canadians, including seniors? Anyway, the National Housing Co-Investment Fund supports the needs of Canada's vulnerable population and will repair 240,000 units, create 60,000 new units, create or repair at least 4,000 shelter spaces for victims of family violence, and create at least 7,000 new affordable units for seniors. The Canada Housing Benefit is another aspect of the NHS that will positively impact seniors. This benefit will provide rental support to 300,000 households across Canada, in large part to aid low-income seniors. We estimate that the Canada Housing Benefit will deliver an average of $2,500 per year to each recipient household, directly combating the real impact of high rent, and will be positive for low-income and fixed-income seniors. Our work to create affordable housing for seniors. 1, the new National Housing Strategy will remove 530,000 Canadians from housing need and create 100,000 new housing units, including 12,000 units dedicated to seniors over the next 10 years. Over 6,247 families get more affordable housing adapted to the needs of seniors through a $200 million investment in Budget 2016. An estimated average of $2,500 per month for recipient households under the Canada Housing Benefit. Per month or per year? Up here it said per year, I believe. Maybe I misread. Anyway, that's interesting. 12,000 affordable housing units specifically for seniors and 60,000 affordable units overall under the National Housing Co-Investment Fund. New minimum accessibility standards under the historic National Housing Strategy. Okay, so that's what they're saying. Now, what I'm saying is this doesn't actually solve a problem. This is wallpapering over the problem. This isn't actually getting to the root of the issue. And the root of the issue is rent is increasing. at an exponential rate. It is increasing very, very fast, way faster than you could possibly keep up with. Do you want to know how fast? I'll show you how fast. Here is the Toronto historical average rents by bedroom, and the link is in the description, but this is a Government of Canada produced document. And I wanted to show you, I've got my notes here about how much the rent has increased, and I'm measuring between 2007, because this goes all the way back, and this is Bachelor, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, okay? So for bachelors, we start in 2007 and we keep it steady across the board. So we always look at 2007 and we take it right to 2018. And so bachelor apartments are up by 46% since 2007. 1 bedroom apartments are up by 40%. 2 bedroom apartments are up by 38%, and 3 bedrooms are up by 30%. So if you're downsizing, say you had a big apartment in Toronto and your kids have left and you're like, oh, we should downsize. You are going to pay 46% more than you would have paid a decade ago, or just over a decade ago. So that is a problem. 46% increase in the cheapest apartment class means a lot more of your money goes to cost of living. And that's what I think this election is going to be about. This is a cost of living election, because the cost of living, between the carbon tax, the price of food, the price of hydro, the price of rent, do you have any money left over at the end of the week? At the end of the month? Do you have enough to cover your bills? Because all of those bills have gone up too. Because cost of everything is going up. So that is my question to you. We're going to look at the numbers, but first, here's a Globe and Mail article that talks about BC money laundering driving up the home prices. And there's a reason I'm showing this to you. It's because when money laundering hits the BC real estate market, it's a bellwether. And this investigation turned up the fact that Toronto and Halifax, all across Toronto, or all across Canada, there were indicators that this was happening there too. And I'm saying there's a reason that this rent is skyrocketing, and this is part of the reason. It's not the full reason, but it's part of the reason. Here we go. Globe and Mail reporting, dirty money driving up BC home prices as more than 40 billion laundered across Canada in 2018. That's a billion with a B. Okay, more than $7 billion in dirty money was washed through British Columbia's economy last year, driving up the cost of buying a home by at least 5%, according to reports released on Thursday by the BC government. The distorting effects of illicit proceeds of criminal activities being laundered through real estate, gambling, and luxury goods are felt throughout the Canadian economy, and the most serious failures in law, regulations, and enforcement that have allowed this to happen will require federal changes to tackle, according to the report from Peter German, a former RCMP deputy commissioner, and law professor Maureen Maloney, the chair of BC's expert panel on money laundering in real estate. In fact, Professor Maloney's investigation found that Ontario, Alberta, and the Prairies have an even bigger problem. Clearly, this is a national issue, BC Attorney General David Eby said. Mr. Eby described the scale of money laundering uncovered in the reports as shocking and noted that using only publicly accessible data, the 2 reviews still uncovered thousands of properties and transactions at high risk for money laundering or tax evasion. BC Finance Minister Carol James told reporters that British Columbians have paid a price, with home prices spiraling out of reach in major markets, especially in Metro Vancouver. Money laundering in our housing market is not a victimless crime, she said. I want to point out that they're saying that house prices in Metro Vancouver have spiraled so much, have gotten so expensive that they are just out of reach. Not could be out of reach soon. We are talking about something that has happened. People in the markets who are working in that place can't afford homes there because it's too expensive. How does that happen? I'll get there. The Maloney report said real estate accounted for, in a cautious estimate, $5 billion of the total amount of money believed to have been laundered through BC in 2018. The province estimates, based on that money, that money laundering boosted the benchmark price of a typical home, including detached houses, condos, and townhomes, in the Vancouver region by $50,000. However, the author of the 2 reports said on Thursday that it may be higher, as the 5% estimate was averaged out across the province. I scroll down just a little bit. The total amount of money laundered in Canada last year, her task force estimates, exceeds 40 billion with a B. Dr. German has been conducting his investigation about the enforcement side of this issue for the Attorney General since the fall of 2017. His first report last summer said a dysfunctional regulatory regime for casinos allowed large-scale transnational money laundering by organized crime. So what that says is the regulatory regime set up allows money laundering. It lets it happen. And I'm saying that it looks like the money laundering in real estate is being facilitated by lax federal laws too. Back to the article. Earlier this spring, Mr. Eby called on Ottawa to increase policing resources after learning that the federal RCMP team responsible for money laundering crimes in British Columbia is running with a skeleton staff that refers files to the Provincial Civil Forfeiture Office rather than conducting criminal investigation and laying charges. The BC government has already taken steps to curb money laundering in real estate, introducing the Landowner Transparency Act, the first of its kind in Canada. The legislation will create a public real estate registry, clearly listing who owns what. An estimate 1/3 of the most expensive properties in the Vancouver region in 2016 were owned by opaque entities such as numbered companies. Remember this, we're going to come back to the numbered companies in just a minute. Let me finish this article first. BC Real Estate Associations has said they do not have the tools to detect money laundering in the sector and are calling for changes to federal legislation to facilitate information sharing and crack down on misconduct in the sector. However, Mr. German said the industry has not done all it can. Reporting of suspicious transactions to FinTrack by realtors has been dismal at best, the German report concluded. Mr. Eby said the government will look at additional changes, but warned that without federal support, organized crime will just find new ways to launder illicit cash. So they're saying that they can't do anything, and they're not doing anything about the money laundering, about anything. And asking the realtors and the lawyers to contact police or federal investigators about potential money laundering fails. There are multiple articles talking about how really big money laundering trials that would set precedent in Canadian law get thrown out right before they go to trial or right as they go to trial or whatever. So the problem is federally, the laws are lax and they have no leg to stand on. And they're saying that the lawyers and the real estate agents who suspect these negative and bad actors should be stepping up and saying no. And that's wallpapering over the problem. That doesn't work to solve the problem. Okay, remember the numbered companies? Here we go. I'm going to read the top of this one and then the next article. It's the same. The next article is just updated. It was printed today. So it says, Globe and Mail, residents to be evicted from downtown Toronto seniors home. Residents at a downtown Toronto seniors home have been told they will need to find somewhere else to live 2 months after the building was sold to a numbered company connected to a Toronto real estate development lawyer. Davenhill Senior Living, a not-for-profit home located at 877 Yonge Street in Toronto's Rosedale neighborhood, will be shuttered by the end of this year. Okay, and I highlighted this one before I found that one, so we're going to read this one because it's better. Well, it's highlighted. So CBC is reporting, like lightning has struck, eviction looms for 150 residents of Toronto's senior home. Sigrid Rico is 96, and she has no idea where she's going to live. For the last 8 years, Rico has been living at Davenhill Senior Living, a not-for-profit assisted living home in Rosedale. Last week, she and the rest of the facility's 150 residents found out the building has been sold, and so they need to get out by the end of the year. I thought I would be here to the end of my life, Rico said through tears on Monday. When you're younger, you don't feel so much pressure inside you, you know? If you have to move, you can take it easier. But if you are my age, it's really something like lightning has struck you. I scroll down. The building at 877 Yonge Street, just north of Davenport Road, was sold back in May to a numbered company, which lists Toronto real estate lawyer Andrew Jeanery, sorry if I got that wrong, as director and president. Land registry records show the company was set up just over a week before the building changed hands. Jeanery refused to comment on the sale when reached by CTV News. And I'll note here, this is me. It's totally legal. That's 100% legal. Him acting on behalf of him purchasing a property on behalf of a numbered company and concealing the identity of the buyer, 100% above board legal. He doesn't have to comment at all. I just want to make sure everybody knows that. That is Canadian law and something that potentially needs to change. Maybe we need to know who's purchasing our property for exorbitant amounts of money. So we don't go after the realtor and the lawyer, right? Okay, back to the article. Ward 11 Councillor Mike Layton said the city hasn't gotten any development proposals for the site, but residents worry it will become yet another condo project. Layton said it appeared that the operator has done everything required by law to go about relocating people. There isn't much the city can do, he said, but he hopes the province will monitor the situation. But this situation speaks to a larger issue in Toronto, he said, where some of the city's most vulnerable people are ending up on the street. Quote, it's all about this commodification of housing to the point that housing isn't a place where people live. It's an investment that you make, he said. And this was what I was alluding to at the top. And back to the article. And sure, it's the biggest investment a lot of people will make in their lifetime, but it shouldn't just be thought of as an investment. It's my home first and an investment second. When people go out and spend this enormous amount of money buying a property just to turn a profit without thought to what the future is going to hold for the people living there, that's a really disturbing scenario, but one we're seeing more and more. Interesting, right? And here is the Minister of Seniors receiving a warm welcome in Guelph for a tour of a senior center. And this is a puff piece with lots of platitudes, but they don't talk about solving the increasing rent. They don't talk about the problems with money laundering and the fact that the money laundering is impacting the real estate and inventory issue. They don't talk about that at all. In fact, they don't mention housing at all in this article, not a little bit. So here's an article from Guelph talking about housing, and it's talking about social and senior housing to being worked in development charges. That's referred to as DC in the article here. I scroll down and start halfway through, but the link is in the description if you want to read it for yourself. It says, social and senior housing to be worked into Guelph's development charges. Currently, social housing operated by the county is not expected to see any growth in the next decade, with capital costs forecast to go towards the units already there. Development charge funds can only be used on units that would expand the inventory. Further, the county provided the annual waiting list figures for Guelph Wellington social housing units totaling 1,982 applicants in 2018, up from 1,242 in 2014, the memo adds. This backlog will need to be reduced before social housing capital project is eligible to be included in the DC development charge rate. Pending the end of the study and the creation of the new housing standard, it will be added to the development charge bylaw either via an amendment to the recently updated bylaw or into the next bylaw when it comes up for review in 5 years' time. When this standard would bring social housing and the money needed to expand it under the city's development charge regime, the same cannot be said for affordable housing. The memo from staff add that while the affordable housing units proposed for the cleaned up Imico site meet the definition of acceptable capital costs under the Province's Development Charges Act, those charges cannot be applied because the city does not already have affordable housing under its umbrella. And that's a long, complicated way to say we don't have legal jurisdiction to do that yet, and it's going to take 5 years to figure it out, basically. And so we need a market solution, and we need laws. Rule of law means one law for everybody. So why are Chinese triads allowed to launder billions of dollars through Vancouver real estate and casino markets while housing markets across Canada explode? It's insanity. It doesn't make sense. Here's a Cambridge Times report. I looked at some things happening around Ontario because, well, it matters. It matters not just what happens in Guelph, but to our wider country too. This is a federal position, and all of Ontario matters, especially within the context of housing. It is not easy to find a place in Guelph. It is not easy to afford everything in Guelph. Guelph is an expensive city, but the same is true in other cities too, so take note. It's not just us. CambridgeTimes.ca reporting social trends show seniors struggle under Cambridge current economic climate. When it comes to food security and housing stability, seniors have been impacted significantly, with more people 65 and over accessing the Cambridge Self-Help Food Bank and other food agencies while heading to the Bridges homeless shelter as housing waitlists get longer. Doubling down on the issue is the 65 to 69 age group, which is the fastest growing in the city with an increase of 32.4% since 2011, equaling 1,545 more senior residents in that time frame. The city saw a leap in the 70 to 74 group of 840 residents, or a 23.3% increase, while the 85 and over group went up 18.5% to 2,495 people. Of the 26% Cambridge and North Dumfries residents who accessed the food bank at least once in 2017, 3% were seniors. Cameron Dearlove, executive director at the food bank, said the 3% isn't quite accurate in reflection with the number of seniors using the food bank. He said he has seen more seniors use the co-op program, which allows people to access food every 2 weeks in exchange for volunteering 4 hours every month. Co-op numbers for older adults was broken down to a 55 and older grouping, with 18% of the 10,119 people using the co-op program in that category. Quote, well, if the population is aging and we're seeing more and more seniors who don't have the income or don't have the savings to live the life they're hoping for in retirement or in older age, then this is what we're going to see, Dearlove said. Dearlove added the number they were seeing may not actually match the number of seniors in need. It's one thing to think about the number of people who are coming in the food bank. It's also really worrying to think about the number of people who are not coming into the food bank who should be, he said. We've sometimes been connected to people who maybe through another community partner organization or somebody has connected with them, and they may look in the fridge and see there's no food here. That person was not stepping forward. Maybe that's something that they've never done before. And I scroll down. Seniors have also been hit when it comes to affordable housing, as the wait list skyrocketed 52.2% between 2014 and 2017, with 997 on the wait list in 2017, up from 655 in 2014. The impact has made a 3-year average wait time for community housing in 2017 for seniors, up from 2 years from 2014 to 16. Quote, I know someone who read this report and saw that wait list and said, isn't it terrible that the senior age group has increased the wait time and they have less time to wait? And I thought, yeah, you're absolutely correct, Terry said. Consequently, the number of seniors accessing the bridges has gone up 47% from 2014 to 2017, with 30 staying in the shelter in 2017 for 916 beds. The average length of stay did go down over that time span from 48.81 days to 30.53 days. The trend has seen more senior men staying at the shelter than women, with that number more than doubling in 2016 and 2017 to 5, up from 2 in the previous 2 years. And next, more seniors relying on Sudbury Food Bank as housing costs eat up budget. And I'm just supplying these links for your own perusal. You can read them for yourself. This one's from 2017, and this is 2 BC seniors live in van and struggle to make ends meet. Wearing a soft red fleece jacket and tiny gold hoop earrings, Alexi Rayner doesn't look out of place walking through the Whole Foods in West Vancouver. Most of them, I don't think, have a clue about my situation. It would be deadly embarrassing. The truth is, Rayner is 79 and lives in a van parked just outside in the parking lot. Rayner, along with her 62-year-old companion, Sarah Watson, have been living in the old model Ford minivan borrowed from friends since May. The two women have lived together for the past few years out of necessity. The rest of the article you can read for yourself. And here's one more. This is from Rockwood, and this is a unique living situation that if you're interested in, I suppose you could get in touch. But Guelph Mercury is reporting unique Rockwood co-living project for senior women now on sale. And I'm not going to go through the whole article, but essentially she retrofitted her home to be individual suites, up to 6, I think, and then she's selling off the suites like a condo in her home, and then you can come and live in her home and kind of co-live together, and they'll do dinners and things. So this is a problem, and not this one. This is a unique, an entrepreneurial approach to solve a problem, but it's still a problem. The fact that this woman doesn't have enough to retire on and to go to somewhere that would, in the article, it says that she's rejected from the assisted living place because her finances would run out before she died. That's why she was rejected. So these things are happening. It's like a pre-existing condition. You're going to outlive your money. That's a pre-existing condition these days. And that's concerning, right? Forcing people to say, okay, I'll just take a mortgage out and retrofit my house and maybe sell parts of it to pay off that mortgage. And I'm speculating on the mortgage. Maybe she didn't do that. But ultimately, we've got people operating illegally in casinos and the real estate market with impunity. And the feds are unable to do anything to stop it. And in the same note, the feds are willing to put a lot of money into housing people, but they're not willing to put a lot of money into stopping the thing that's driving the rents up in the first place. They're wallpapering over the problem. They're not solving the issue. They're saying, here's some money, don't worry about it. But the problem is the money goes right into this market that's being driven up and manipulated by billions of Chinese foreign drug money. It makes no sense. And that's why I think we need a change from Mr. Longfield and Mr. Trudeau. Thanks for watching, everybody. My name is Mark Peralvis. That rhymes with For All of Us, and I'm the People's Party candidate for Guelph. Come to the Maxime Bernier interview. It's July 19th at 7 o'clock. There's a link in the description if you're interested. We'd love to have you. It would be wonderful. I get to interview Mr. Bernier, an hour-long conversation, and then half an hour of questions and answers. Thanks for watching. Check out thepeoplespartyofcanada.ca. Check out markperalvis.com. Check out ppcguelph.ca. And have a wonderful, wonderful evening.